Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. We are back. We are going to take another run at some of the content we were covering last night. It deserves a second go-round because we are in an unprecedented times. This is, as the thumbnail on tonight's video says, we are in the age of rage. I became somewhat enraged last night because it became known to us that this viral video of Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA star, where she talks about racism in the WNBA, apparently it isn't actually, well, it's kind of fake. The thing is, I checked that video for authenticity before going live. And yet still, even with that level of due diligence, it slipped through the cracks, and it does appear that it is fake. There's a lot to talk about with regard to that tonight, because as I said, well, I'm not going to repeat the language. It's exasperating, and it's dangerous, and it's happening right now again as we speak. It's not just me, it's not just you, it's everybody that is being duped. And it isn't just the government. It's happening for a lot of different reasons. We're going to dig into it tonight, and it connects to quite a number of things, from the Montreal shooting, where the issue of pornography or the issues of anti-porn ideology, incels, anti-Semitism, Marxism, political ideology, communism, all of that tying together. Also tonight, CUSMA, the trade deal between Canada, the United States, Mexico. Looks like Trump's not interested, maybe. So it appears, sort of maybe. Won't renew, maybe, the trade deal with Canada. Deadline tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll show you also how it looks like Mark Carney is kind of backtracking, maybe even, I don't know if abandon is the right word, abandoning the climate change agenda as he pushes forward with a new approach to reshaping Canada's economy, which is something that I guess we'll need to do if there is no trade deal with the United States government while Trump is in office. Not sure where it's all going to go. I wouldn't panic. That seems to be that is exactly how the Donald Trump playbook is written. Extreme positions on everything, especially going into negotiations, the most extreme, and ask for everything plus the moon, 3 stars and the sun, and then the universe. So don't fret. We're okay for today. Things are still looking up not so good for Russia. Russia's kind of on the back foot. We'll show you why. Also, stuff going on in Iraq. I don't know what the heck to make of that. Some talk of maybe, you're not hearing a lot about that. There was a little bit a couple of nights ago. I'll touch on it. I don't know a lot. That's the point. And There's quite a bit going on around Cuba. Also, not hearing much about it, but there's a lot going on down there. And that also ties back into our discussions about what's real, what's fake, how government, and particularly the Trump administration, is framing things to screw with our minds in order to manufacture consent among all of us in order to do maybe unspeakable things and crazy things and some really dumb things. And there's no B in that, by the way. It's just spelled D-U-M. You can drop the B. It's the new age of rage. And birthright citizenship upheld by the courts today. If we have time, we'll maybe touch on that too. There's so much going on. Also, another court ruling that will open the gates to massive spending by super elite, mega rich, billionaire, trillionaire donors to political movements. So there goes democracy. And then Ian Dragon from Montreal is going to join us, I think by telephone, to take a second look at that manifesto from the Montreal Shooter, because that has been a source of controversy. It's 104 pages long. He has been digging into it, reading more and more of it, and we'll find out why that also connects to everything I've just been talking about. And the show begins. I hate calling it a show. I hate calling anything news related a show. It's supposed to be a program, not a show, but that's kind of what we're getting on this. What is it? It's June 30th, last day of the month, 2026. Trump's golden age of rage.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Let's start with talk about a little talk about what's going on with the trade deal, trade talks. Carney, speaking today to media briefly, said he doesn't have his pen ready, but there is going to be a call tomorrow. When he's saying he doesn't have his pen ready, he means he doesn't expect any kind of a deal tomorrow or anything. It's just too premature, but they are talking. And so tomorrow there will be an online video call between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. He says, don't expect anything earth-shattering. It's just the opening of negotiations, such as they are. But what is being reported online is the United States, Trump may just announce that he's not interested. Suspending talks, not going to renew the deal, and that'll be the end of it. But I'm not so sure that will be the case. He might, but don't expect that to hold. I think there's going to be as much, this is me, my personal view, he might do that just to make waves, get people upset, ruffle feathers, get everybody worried, thinks he's strengthening his position. But the jig is kind of up. People are cluing in. They know they know Trump's art of the deal at this point. And I think that if he takes that kind of position, it'll last about as long as any ceasefire with Iran. So don't fret, Canuckistanians. We're still buoyant. We're still afloat economically. And Carney today also video posted talking about the way Canada is, changing its economic strategy. And a big part of that is making changes to the climate change approach. I don't know if you'd call this abandoning. I don't think that's exactly what this is, but certainly, but people on, the left side of the political spectrum, their heads are blowing up tonight because it sounds like he is, to them, abandoning the climate change agenda in order to pursue a stronger economy. Here's what Carney had to say about all of that, and you can assess for yourself.
We can't afford to restrain the growth of an important part of our energy mix, oil and gas, to meet a short-term goal. I want to be clear on this point. The changes we have made will mean that our emissions will be higher in the next few years than they were projected to be under the previous government's plan. But in my judgment, that plan was not sustainable over the long term. It would have been too expensive for Canadians who are already struggling with affordability. It would have let down our partners who need new sources of energy, and it would do so right at the time when we need them to help us become more independent of the United States. We can't afford to restrain the growth of an important part of our energy mix, oil and gas, to meet a short-term goal. I want to be clear on this point. The change.
So he's saying, we're going for the oil and we're going to make trade deals. He knows that he keeps saying Canada can be an energy superpower. And he is clearly signaling to Alberta. And there are other portions of what he said today, too, that were directly, in that address. He's addressing Alberta directly and trying to, I guess, make himself relatable to the people out in the oil province, reminding them that it's his home province and empathizing, talking about how he remembers the beginning the era of the Trudeau National Energy Program, Trudeau Senior, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, back in the 70s, and how that really began a series of errors politically that left many Albertans feeling alienated and feeling like they didn't have any control or even a stake in their own oil from their own province, which is, that's largely true too. So he is trying to address those concerns as we make our way through this super hot summer toward the fall, when we will have this referendum on maybe having a referendum. And the fever pitch out there is reaching a fever pitch. It's because it's hot and the issues are hot and people are hot under the collar. And last night we showed you how it's boiling over into that attack that I told you about. It wasn't an attack. It was a struggle, a skirmish, a scuffle that ended up with an Alberta separatist protester falling to the ground. Some say pushed, not just to the ground, but falling out into the middle of the street and almost getting run over. So there's that going on out there too. It is the age of rage, and that was just one example from last night. Now, when we do go to the phones with Ian, a.k.a. Dragon in Montreal, we'll probably leave them open too. So if anybody out there wants to call in and add some thoughts to what we're talking about tonight, that will be your opportunity later on in the broadcast. Now, speaking of rage, this story is enraging a lot of people. Trump's ballroom getting a $500 million deal. They've, I guess the White House has handed Clark Construction a $500 million deal to build the new East Wing ballroom. No other bids coming in, didn't put it out for tender. They just ran it through the executive residence. This is a small office that is usually used to just buy, knickknacks, decorations, redecorate the White House when the new president moves in, things like that. But this is a $500 deal. And this is a project that has ballooned, tripled in price along the way. Originally supposed to cost about $200 million, now about $600 million. That's about a little over $500 million. So that's got some people angry. You could see that one coming. And we haven't heard the last of it. The funding for all of that. It's certainly a different approach than what we're getting here in Canada with the restoration of 24 Sussex, the residence that would normally be used for the Prime Minister, but has fallen into a state of disrepair, as we all know. On the international front, things not looking good for Putin over in Ukraine. Crimea is on the edge, man. The Ukrainian drone attacks over there have been extremely effective. They've cut off all of the lifelines for Crimea, except for the Kerch Bridge, which has also been damaged and can no longer support heavy traffic and full loads going over to the peninsula. As a result, the area of Crimea, it looks like it's a holiday hotspot. Speaking of heat, a playground for Russia's upper middle class and affluent. That's what it's become since Russia went in there and occupied it, starting back in, I believe it was like 2014, which was really when the war with Ukraine actually started. And this current war, full-scale invasion, 5 years ago now, a 3 or 4 or 5 day war was expected or predicted or told. We were told by the Kremlin that that's how long it would take, now into 5 years. And while it looked like taking back Crimea was unthinkable for Ukraine, even just a number of months ago, things have changed. Ukrainian fortunes have certainly changed, and that is largely because of these ongoing massive attacks, day in, day out, day after day. They've been relentless, especially over the past month, with the attacks, the drone attacks ramping up. One day this week, they launched over 600 drones and missiles into Russian territory, targeting logistics chains, that's shipments of supplies for troops in Ukrainian territory and in Crimea as well. And they've also been, Ukraine has also been obviously targeting oil refineries, and it's putting a lot of pressure. Literally to roost for Putin, and this is undermining morale for the war on the home front, so much so that there has even been an open letter written within the last day from a very wealthy Russian oligarch who is telling Putin that the cost is too high, that the damage to the oil refineries, the energy infrastructure is unprecedented. Putin acknowledging it, actually talking now about having to import gasoline because there are gas shortages that are happening over there. And that appears to be very truthful. It's happening. I have to tell you that I have to question everything. With especially anything in a war zone right now, because there's so much propaganda, and truth has been a tragic casualty of war, the wars in Iran and in Ukraine as well. Now the war isn't just in Ukraine, it's in Russia, and this is what is happening at gas stations where you have long lineups for fuel and people are getting frustrated. Pull down the audio on that. This is a Fox News post, but these are social media clips from Russia, and they are fighting anger. And I've been telling everybody it's for quite a while, these pundits who were telling us, and I was buying it for a long time, that this war with Ukraine doesn't stand a chance. These are people lined up for gas, and in some cases, you've got people lined up for miles and miles and miles trying to get out of Crimea because of the ongoing attacks, and there are huge shortages of everything there now. They're not even allowed to sell gasoline. So by cutting off the supplies going into Crimea, it's a maximum pressure campaign. It appears to be highly effective. It doesn't look like at this point Ukraine planning to put boots on the ground there or launch any kind of a ground offensive, but the plan appears to be apply pressure this way, cut off the supplies, make it an unlivable and unusable space for Russia. You can have your position one way or another on the politics surrounding the conflict there, but the reality is that's what's going on the ground. You might not want to hear it if you're a pro-Russian MAGA type, but that's the reality, and I'm not going to lie. And this is just an ongoing, constant thing now. These kinds of attacks. Day after day, night after night. Between 300 and 600 drones every single day being launched into Ukraine, into Russia rather, by Ukraine. And that's not to say that Russia isn't hitting back. They are. In fact, there are kind of weird reports. This is hitting a munitions factory, by the way. Strange reports coming out. I don't know what to make of them because there's so much propaganda that comes out from the Russian side. Because there's politics that gets played there inside Russia as well. It isn't just like coming straight from the government. There are political opponents within the country too that try to paint a particular picture or slant information a particular way that to benefit them politically. But what I've been seeing military figures, commentators in the West talking about what's going on over with the Ukraine conflict, talking about Putin ordering maybe a massive assault on Kyiv, to take Kyiv. Just the ramped up rhetoric about possibly using a nuclear weapon, not just against Ukraine, but actually using it against European targets, keeping in mind, of course, that for quite a while, Russia has been saying that they are at war with NATO and the United States, not just Ukraine. And they've made that assertion a long time ago, like a year ago, I think at this point now, Putin coming right out and saying it. Not acknowledged over here, kind of ignored. Empty threats is kind of the view, I think, that is being taken on the Western side. Could be, maybe not. I don't know. So far, we haven't seen that kind of escalation. There's something strange going on, though, around like the border of Finland. I think the border kind of being restricted or cut off there by Putin. Some sort of a order given to prevent cross-border traffic. It looks like something's up. We don't really know. But you keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. And when I'm talking about well, I'm not going to run the Tucker Carlson clip because it's just straight up propaganda with this Victor Boot guy and everything. It's just everything is freaking fake. It's become awful. You can't tell what's real anymore. You go back to this to Trump's Great American State Fair. They're saying this is like this illustrates how they're playing some sort of a weird mind game. Here's Fox News. I haven't seen this particular clip, but they keep reporting that there are thousands of people there, and clearly there are not. I was trying to be charitable about this last night, but it's pretty clear that they are lying. And while they're showing you the video of like this empty fair, which has become a source of division for the country, not unity or bringing people together. It's not really a celebration of America in the way that I thought it was going to be.
Well, I'm John Roberts. Good to be back with you again here in Washington.
Back with you. It's even warmer today than yesterday.
But
it's a hot one.
That's the great thing about Washington.
It's a dry heat. All right, I'll take that. I'm Sandra Smith, and this is America Reports. Back live with you again from the Great American State Fair.
Well, I'm John Roberts. Good to be
There's
back
nobody
with you
there?
again here in Washington.
Same as it was yesterday. Literally like a handful of people. Some states, Democrat states mainly, not even fully participating. In some cases, the states, like the state government, not sending any kind of a delegation or putting up a pavilion or a booth there at the Great American State Fair. Every state was to be represented. That was the goal. And each state was then tasked with or given the opportunity to participate. But because some states haven't, there have been private interests that have stepped forward for some states, some Democrat states. I think they're about, there's quite a few actually that just didn't send anybody. So they're private pavilions. That's the weird thing about this celebration. When Trump first started talking about this Great American State Fair, when he was first reelected coming back in, he made it sound like this was going to be some huge, grand, fantastic thing. But when I'm looking at these reports, what you see is it's in the National Mall, and they've just got these individual like presentations, displays inside these, small buildings, and then this massive empty field, a Ferris wheel, and I saw a beanbag toss thing for some kids. No wonder they're not getting a crowd. Oh, there's a stage there, a big stage where they put some bands up, and honestly, from what I've seen, a lot of the bands kind of suck. Like really bad. I would think on July 4th they'll have much better entertainment. I haven't looked to see who's actually coming, but they hopefully they get a lot more people. And I say that because, well, people are painting this as a Trump failure. His opponents are, his political opponents. And the two sides are engaging in an information war to screw with your mind, where the one side is showing really what is going on, the reality of it, I think, where it's extremely low attendance and in some cases, no attendance practically. I think there were 6 or 7 people standing in front of the stage all day today. That's it. Listening to this terrible band that, at least it was terrible to me. It was off key. It was awful. It's the middle of the week though. It's super hot. They'll probably get a lot more people on the weekend, but this is the 250th birthday of America, the world's most powerful nation, the world's biggest economy, or maybe second biggest, and the world's most powerful military, probably, maybe, except that they're still struggling with this thing in Iran. But it's just such a proud country. United States really has been, at least to me, a beacon of hope for the whole world since I've ever been alive. I've always looked at the United States as that bright, shining city on a hill. And this is the way that they're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country. It's a huge disappointment. I just expected that they would put a lot more into it. And instead, what we're getting is this sort of, it seems like a half-hearted effort in some ways. And the not all the states are into it. They don't really want to participate. That politics is so divisive. It's awful. It just shows that the anger, the political division, the divide, the rage has become cancerous. It's eating away at national pride. When you've got a government in place that is supposed to be all about national pride, MAGA, make America great again, wrapping the flag around himself, and all the MAGA people, grabbing the flag. But as we've seen up here in Canada too, because of that political divide, the flag itself has become divisive, although that's been the case for so long because of wars like Vietnam and the controversies surrounding all of that. What a very strange, dysfunctional country. But I love America, but that's kind of what's going on out there. Not kind of, that is what's going on. And the Great American State Fair, I think, is a reflection of exactly what the state of America is right now. What's going on in Iraq? I don't know. There was something a couple of nights ago, military vehicles rushing to the Capitol. Looks like we might have some sort of a coup happening there. And strangely, nothing much being reported about it. Not really clear what has been happening over there, but I think there is something going on. And I know there's something going on. It looks like some arrests were made over corruption, and I'm not going to report much on it tonight because I don't think the information coming out of there is actually necessarily factual or clear. Just be aware that there's something going on that we're not being told much about. So there's going to be more happening in Iraq. Iraq 2.0, I hope not. Terrible. That would be a huge mistake. Oh my God. Don't be surprised, I would say, if it isn't connected to what's going on in Iran somehow. There are also tonight indications, and actually I noticed this over the last couple of days. Haven't really reported on it yet because it's not really clear what's going on. This is all kind of covert, but there is evidence out there showing that the United States military is moving a lot of troops around. A lot of flights, logistical flights happening. It looks like there's some major deal going on. And there's speculation out there that this whole MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that is supposed to maybe lead to some sort of, productive peace talks and an ultimate peace deal, that it might just be all a ruse. They might just be buying time as they prepare for some sort of a really major ground invasion. I can't say, you can't say, nobody can say for sure, because I think it's all kind of hush hush top secret. But if you do the digging, look at the research, you can kind of see where some assets are being moved around, and it's very suspicious. Trump kept saying that he doesn't want to get into endless wars, as opposed to putting boots on the ground. But because of the way everything has gone with the Strait of Hormuz, and because we have something of a ceasefire in place that isn't a ceasefire at all, and they're still firing at each other. I'm not sure exactly what the status is at this moment. But even after that MOU is signed, Iran fires at a ship that wasn't navigating properly through the controlled channel, which I guess under the agreement, technically, they had the right to do that. But the United States, with Trump, then responded by attacking targets inside Iran again. And then we're away to the races with aggression. Then they're kind of calling it off, and it's like, oh, we're going to talk some more. It's just been crazy, silly, and kind of stupid. Really, it's about the dumbest war ever. At least that's the way it appears so far. Though no B in dumb, by the way. Because it's the age of rage. Let's take a short break. I'm going to come back. I have so much more tonight. So much more. It's going to make your head ache.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right. We're back. Let's just shift here. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. We're gonna go back, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about what happened last night. I flipped out. I hate it when I do stuff like that, honestly. And you may notice that I took last night's broadcast down because it turned out that this stuff I was running about Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA star, it was fake. And so I was concerned. I don't want to contribute to the lying, right? So I took the whole broadcast down at the end because of that. Because if somebody watches that program and they only get that first part and they don't get far enough to find out that it's fake, then I'll be adding to that. So I pulled it. I might clip some of that program and put some of the other portions up later. I just haven't had time to do the editing. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's about Sophie Cunningham and that pointing video. She's the WNBA star. And the thing is, when I saw this video, it wasn't the video of her pointing at her opponent that really caught my attention. It was this other one where there's audio of her saying, let's call it what it is. It's just racism. This is the one that I guess is fake. But before I ran this last night, I did do some checking because I was like, is that real? Because I'm questioning just about everything. All right. These days. Is that really real? Did she really say that? So I did go online. I did a Google search. I found confirmation of this like being real. Here's the video. I'm going to run it again. Keep in mind, this thing has been manipulated. Okay.
Let's just call it what it is, racism. It started with Caitlin Clark, and now it's me. Y'all see it. When white players start hooping at a high level, suddenly we're cocky, deserve to get hit, or we're too emotional. But let's be real, they just don't like seeing white girls dominating their game. I've been elbowed, shoved, even had players whisper threats during plays. And for what? Because I play hard, because I won't back down? That's not just physical, that's targeted. That's hate. And I'm not staying quiet about it anymore. If I get hit dirty, I'm swinging back. Period. I did it before, and I'll do it again. I'm not here to play victim, I'm here to compete. But I'll never let anyone punk me just because of the color of my skin. If you think I'm supposed to just take it and smile, you pick the wrong one. And Caitlin, she's been through the same BS. We see the pattern, and the league better start seeing it too. If you don't stand for fairness now, when will you?
Okay, so that's rage bait. Okay, so I ran it because it is inflammatory. And if she really said that stuff, it's absolutely newsworthy. And it looked like she had actually said it. The thing is, even now, even after this search, it's not really clear about what she's actually said, what she hasn't said. She hasn't commented on this stuff. Not this particular aspect of it, but it's very concerning. And when Lori pointed out that it's fake, I lost it, man, because this is like what our platform is all about. I'm trying to get you closer to the truth. And then here I am. I'm running this, but I'll tell you why I ran it, because I checked the video before we started. I did a search, and that search led me to, I was looking for other media that would be credible to show that this thing was real and that it was true. So I found this, and I did also, I asked Grok AI to search, is it real or fake? A lot of people do that now. So I ran it through that, and Grok said it was real. But if you go on and you ask Grok today, sometimes it says it's real and sometimes it says it's fake. That's how bad everything is right now. Even AI can't tell whether something's AI, fake, real, edited, whatever, can't tell. So it's real. No, it's not. And the reason is because it too goes and finds media that it thinks is credible in order to substantiate whether something is real or not. And it's trying to weigh all of this information and come to a conclusion as to whether it's real or fake. So this is the post that I found, and it's over on a website called the Shadow League. They share that they post the actual quote, and this was the one I was like, oh, okay, so this is a sports media outlet, okay. And Sophie Cunningham recently accused Black WNBA players of racism, and the mid-Indiana Fever player continues to feed into narratives that Caitlin Clark won't. Headline, don't like white girls dominating their game, in quotes. Sophie Cunningham is willing to push divisive WNBA narratives. Caitlin Clark won't. If you scroll down, this online publication is focused on the cultural aspects of sport. It is focused. It's primarily, the demographic of this is that the people who subscribe to this are primarily Black Americans, and they cater to that demographic. Okay. So here they are saying players around the league have gone on record mentioning how her fans act and carry themselves when talking about how physical players are when defending her. In fact, players have spoken out about facing racial slurs and online harassment. Who can forget the big mess former ESPN analyst Robert Griffin III made when he said Reese hates Clark following an early season altercation between the two. Here's the video, okay, again, being posted as part of this article. And the clip is supposed to have come from Sophie Cunningham's own podcast, I guess, at some point. Last night, I also went, before coming on air, I went and I found what was supposed to be the original source for it. I just didn't have time to watch like an hour and a half long thing. And I did go in and I found some clips that sounded like they probably helped make up whatever it was that they had cut together here, obviously cut together. But I didn't think that it was entirely taken out of context, because then I found it over here too. Social media also finding this stuff and referencing it as a credible source and saying, yes, it's real. Here's confirmation of it. Here's somebody else using it. But in reality, this whole thing was clipped together. I can't tell whether it's done with AI, partially with AI, whether it is pieces and clips of Sophie Cunningham speaking, and then the clips all kind of cut together, clipped, put together to make her say stuff out of context from what she's actually ever said. But it looks like she didn't really say these things. Right there's the quote. They just don't like white girls dominating their game. Let's just call it what it is, racism, Cunningham said. Now, the reason that is important is because when they publish that online, it gets into the metadata. It then becomes searchable. I've also found that when media outlets post first, it is first out of the gate. That gets traction right away. It's very Orwellian, but the way the system works is it puts that information front. Social media grabs that. They believe it. The AI systems believe that to be true, and they start to report that themselves or repeat it, echo that as being fact until other information comes along that might contradict that, and then they're weighing all of this stuff. Point is, somebody tells a lie, they post something online, they create rage bait, they get it published someplace, that creates credibility. Now that starts to get traction. The next thing you know, the lie becomes the truth in people's minds. That becomes the reality when it really never even ever happened. That's why I get so upset about this stuff. How do you combat something like that? This thing was going viral. Now, it hasn't been picked up by mainstream media per se, or legacy media, or any of the major sports outlets. But this, to me, appeared to be something that was gaining a lot of traction. And that's because if you go online and look at what's happening on especially X, which has become this massive social media cesspool, if you go look at that, and you'll find like post after post after post after post of the MAGA sphere applauding this whole thing, because for some of the people over there who, let's face it, there are some real racists out there, okay? And they have turned Sophie Cunningham into the Barbie poster girl for the white power movement or something. It's kind of freaking weird and disturbing what's kind of going on. Let's just take a little gander at, I'll just do a random search here if I can get the computer to cooperate. See if I can just call up something to kind of illustrate this for you. MAGA, Sophie Cunningham. Let's bring it up. We'll do it in real time, see what we get. I didn't queue these things up, but yeah, like here you go. So here's one of the things that's before I even do this, whoever created this thing, this is what's also maddening about it, is they can't lose. This is rage bait. This is a way to get a lot of clicks to a channel or a social media platform. And they know that a clip like that will piss people off on both sides. They know that there's prejudice all over the place, and anger and racial division, animosity, friction. It goes back to the 1600s. It's that deep, right? Slavery, the whole racial divide thing. It just persists. Civil War, South. It's present in the Great American State Fair, the Confederate flag, all of that stuff. You know what I'm speaking of. So they can't lose because they get people engaging with it online. The algorithms with X promote that crap because rage, anger, that's what engages people. So they reward that kind of content. It's fake. This is the thing. Social media platforms, this is incredibly irresponsible, but X, Elon Musk, they've done nothing to take that content down. I just ran it for you again. They're not taking it down, and it's not real. But they don't care. Sometimes they take stuff down, but generally speaking, they don't, because that engages people. That isn't government. That's a big tech oligarch and his super powerful social media X machine. He's just letting it run rampant in the name of free speech. Well, it's screwing with everybody's minds. That's not free speech, man. That is malicious social media content aimed at just taking advantage of you, exploiting you. And who's benefiting from that? You have Elon Musk, X, you have the advertisers, you have the Shadow League. I don't know if they created it. They may have. It looks like they're one of the only ones to actually have posted it. Maybe the original source. I don't know. I did send them a message today. I've tried to reach out to them. I've invited them to come on the program, including the author of the article, but I really doubt I'm going to get a response and have not had one back so far today, asking them specifically about this, because I would like to know, did they edit that video together? If they did and they say it's real, then I want you to prove that. Show me the original source, because this is confusing people. It's very harmful. It's not serving the public. It's serving them. They benefit. Advertisers benefit. Social media companies are benefiting from it. Some political groups feel like they'll be benefiting from it. The people who want to fight, they benefit from it. Politicians who use this stuff to divide people, pull people into their political camps, get them to donate, get them to vote a particular way, they benefit from it. But you know who loses? America loses, you lose, I lose, we all lose, society loses. They're not serving the public interest. That's what my pledge has always been here. Somebody asking me the other day, would you lie in this certain circumstance, or asking me about my commitment, I guess, to telling the truth, because I've said, I will never knowingly lie to you. Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to participate in this crap. And that's because this stuff is dangerous. It damages our democracy. It damages our relationships with people. It has taken the country to the point where you can't even have a 250th year anniversary, a celebration, without it being entirely political. Some states practically boycotting it, people not that interested in it, people fighting over it. And we're, in some respects, maybe even at the brink of a civil freaking war in the United States of America over this kind of crap. Because people are using this to profit, to benefit, to serve themselves. And that's why I got so damn upset last night, because how do we fight this? I don't have all the answers, because this is an entirely new medium. And it's every day it's becoming harder and harder and harder to tell what is real, what's fake. I just don't know anymore. And even though I did my due diligence, I can't tell. And it's not just here. It's not just that. This one was really bad, because it's a double-edged sword, that video. The Shadow League posts that, puts it in that article. They can't lose. White people who are racist get upset and raged, but then they prop up Sophie Cunningham, and there are literally videos out there, and let me see if I've got any of this stuff, okay, where they're portraying her as like literally a Barbie. She's right out of central, it's as Donald Trump would say, she's right out of central casting. Blonde hair, right, tall, tall, white, blonde girl, making her out to be like this champion of reverse racism, activism, blah, blah, blah. Well, now over on X, you see what they're posting here. I guess she's been going out on dates with some black men. And so people are going, I wonder if the MAGA base will freak out and disown her now. And I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff that's written here, because this is actually pretty freaking racist in itself, some of the language, okay? I'll scroll down. If you want to try and read it, you feel ahead, go ahead. You could see it, like it's right there. This is America. That's awful. WNBA player Sophie Cunningham did not release this statement endorsing Trump. See, there's another one. MAGA is so desperate for celebrity endorsements that they frequently share fake ones. This is supposed to be something she said. She says, this is not true either. She says, let's be honest, Donald Trump is a tough man. He can be blunt, outspoken, and unapologetic, but in my lifetime, no one has fought harder for the heart and soul of America. I support Donald Trump. I guess she didn't say it. I'm not surprised about that one. So they've turned, they've politicized this WNBA star. And right here, Andy Fromey, Republican women are the best. You have Sophie Cunningham, the MAGA Barbie herself, retweeting clips from the Charlie Kirk Memorial. And over here, yeah, I did watch this on Fox. Gutfield just turned one small Sophie Cunningham moment into a giant meme. And honestly, this is exactly why the internet moves faster than the media can control. One clip, one reaction, one joke, and suddenly everyone is talking about it. Well, the usual talking heads try to still set the narrative. They don't. The people do. Now, I did watch that. They didn't really get into the racism stuff too much, but it's an undercurrent. If you kind of read between the lines, you can tell that that's still what they're about. This is what it's about. They've turned, whether she intended it to be or not, the finger pointing video has become a flashpoint for racial politics in America. and she has become a meme. And the videos, you can't tell what's real, what's fake anymore. There's tons of fake stuff with her out there. That's the real deal right there, though. That's the finger pointing. But then on the other side, as I say, with you're getting the other side is using it to say, you see how racist these white people are? And then they share that and they say, see, she's racist. And then the Shadow League, maybe they got duped. Maybe they made it. I have no idea. I'd like to talk to them. But they're benefiting from this because they're getting traction on their website, traction on their podcasts about this, tons of hits, and they're getting it from both sides, right? Both sides reading it, but especially from the from their demographic, where they're using it to just highlight the racial issue that they're really ramping up. They're part of the problem, is my point. I said, there's racism on all sides. Prejudice is, for me, what it really comes down to. It's prejudging people, prejudice, basing a judgment on incomplete information. Oh, look, that person is short, therefore they must be whatever. Look at that person, they're part of this political party, so they must believe all of these things, and that may not be the case. Look at this person, they are purple or green or orange or black or white or whatever color, and then making an assumption that you know everything about this person, or as much as you need to know or even want to know, and you group them in. That's prejudice. That's the issue here. That is, you can call it racism, but it really just comes down to that. At least for me, and that's how I've always kind of looked. That's the lens I look at this stuff through. And so these media outlets using this kind of stuff, they're exploiting it. But if it's legitimate, that's one thing. But if you're creating it, now you're not part of the solution. You're not using your media platform and your voice to help people, to serve the public. You're serving yourself. You're just creating rage bait. You're clickbait, trying to generate views. And the histories, I went and afterward, I don't follow much sports. I'm not much into sports. Okay. So I went and I looked up some of the history of that publication, and it seems to have legitimate beginnings, but then there is some like strange soap opera type stuff with the guy who started the thing. I mean, really weird stuff, sexual stuff on a plane, and excuse my language, but masturbation next to somebody, I guess, a woman who ended up suing the guy who started it. It was weird. Then the thing got dry. I don't know. I don't really care to know. I'm tired of all of that crap, but that's kind of at the base of all this. So I'm not surprised we're getting this here now. That platform sold recently, though, to some other media outlet, and maybe that's why we're getting this now. Maybe the standards have changed. I don't know. All I can say is I'm open to talking to anybody. I've put the message out there. The invitation is here. Let's see if they come forward and give us some sort of an explanation. But for now, I don't trust them. I don't trust that media platform anymore, not until I get an explanation. Too much craziness around it. And it's not credible when they're publishing that kind of stuff. And I am so glad that I was caught in process last night. I'd be running a retraction anyway if it came to my attention, but that makes me wonder how much stuff is actually slipping through the cracks. And the thing is, it's not just me, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm still doubtful. Like, I'm still questioning. I'm not trusting anything from that platform anymore, but I'll say there's a high probability or possibility that they got duped too. The guy who wrote that article, he may have just been duped and didn't realize it, and the post is still up. The article is still up, but if so, he should correct it. It's a terrible situation. It's awful. And we're not the only ones. It's happening every single day. And it's a lot of it is because of the tone, the approach, this new age of untruth, the post-truth era. I'm calling it now, the age of rage, and that's because of what goes on with President Trump. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about his golden eagle, which I mentioned the sort of Statue of Liberty thing with the wings on the top of the model triumphal arch at the Great American State Fair. And I was like, what is that all about? It, for me, it looks very Romanesque or maybe even a little bit Nazi-like. That one, the Statue of Liberty thing, that to me looks very Roman. This one, I see the similarities between this and, yeah, an eagle from the Nazi era in Nazi Germany. Let me see if I can find the post here. So, but the thing is that this is a golden eagle that Trump posts on social media saying he unveiled this and it was a gift to America, but it's not real. Where did my post go on it? Here it is. The Mirror. This is one media. It's not the only one. They've done a story on this because Trump posts this thing and it looked like it was legitimate, right? So they've done a whole news story on this thing as though it's really happened. But it is not real. It's just a thing he posted online, but it's sparking a lot of controversy because of the way this golden eagle, Trump's new golden eagle compared to Nazi symbol, an alarming White House update. President Trump unveiled a massive golden eagle decoration for the White House balcony overlooking the South Lawn, but critics have made a chilling comparison with another leader's decor. There's the picture of it. I put it on the thumbnail tonight. Why are people upset about it? When I saw it, I was like, well, I know what that looks like, but it's not exactly the same, so maybe he gets away with it. But here they're thinking this is real. President Donald Trump's golden eagle sculpture is set to adorn the White House balcony, but users online are making a deeply unsettling comparison with a symbol associated with another world leader. Trump unveiled the striking golden eagle destined for the balcony that overlooks the South Lawn, calling it a golden gift to the White House for his 250th birthday year. It's not up on the White House at this point. Does he actually have this thing? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't appear to be real. It's like some conceptual thing. The imposing eagle boasts a wingspan stretching approximately 7 to 8 feet. And maybe it is. I could still be wrong. This is the thing. I can't tell because I'm getting conflicting information here. Is it real? Some people think it's up on the White House already. Some people are saying that it's coming. This report, I don't know. The imposing eagle boasts a wingspan stretching 7 to 8 feet and is mounted on the building's exterior columns. No, it's not. It's not there. Sculpture depicts the bird clutching a crest encircled by 11 stars. That's a significant number. While some critics saw the new addition as one of Trump's typical tacky style choices, others spotted something more sinister. Pull down, what's the more sinister thing? More accounts weighed in on the topic, putting side-by-side pictures of Trump's new sculpture and Nazi Germany's eagle emblem. The possible invocation of Nazi imagery sparked complete outrage on the social media platform. Because that doesn't scream Nazi Germany at all, one user wrote, followed by another who added, I'm shocked Trump didn't demand England's Imperial War Museum give Hitler's Nazi eagle to him. It's just, it's more rage bait. But Trump posts it himself. They're posting that this thing is already up on the White House, and it isn't. It has not been. It's not on the White House. Fake news or duped news. I don't think they posted that stuff intentionally. But it's not real. It didn't happen. It's not there. And the 11 stars that I say are significant, you know why? Those are the 11 Confederates. They said to represent the 11 Confederate states. You know, you would think that it would start with 13 maybe, But no, it's 11. Why? Maybe the Confederate States. What is that? Is that like a dog whistle to the racists? I don't know, man. I don't want to believe this stuff, but it's all there. I was like kind of taken aback by that triumphal arch Statue of Liberty winged angelic thing where they've taken, I think this, to me, that is a symbol of hope to the world. It was given to the United States as a gift from France. Give us, weak, you're hungry, the poor. It's about liberty. It's about freedom. That's what the Statue of Liberty is about. By adding the wings, they're adding something angelic, Christian about it, because let's face it, this is where they're going. They're trying to create some sort of a Christian theocracy, or at least that's maybe they feel they already have established that through the Trump administration, because there's this ongoing debate. Is the United States a Christian nation? Is it a secular nation? Is it a free market, free enterprise, capitalistic nation? Well, let me come back here. And Ian, I know that it's about 8 o'clock, but I know you're listening, but I need a little more time before we bring you in on the phones. And when we do that, we'll also open things up if anybody else wants to call in tonight. Communism, religion, that's at the heart of a lot of what's going on here. And it is being used as a political dividing tool. Here's Caroline Levitt, a clip from her talking about this. I bring it up. It is important because Trump is using social media and his mind games to, I think, frame what is a ramped up war, that not just a war on, is a war on liberalism, classical liberalism, not the Liberal Party, but they're framing all of their political opponents now as communists. And this smacks of some sort of neo-McCarthyism.
After his election, the president invited him in to have productive conversations about the future of our country. However, I know the president and many Americans are extremely concerned how far left the Democrat Party is moving. You see these candidates, this is not your granddaddy's Democrat Party. These are communists. The president is right to call them that. They want to abolish private prisons. They want to abolish the police. They want to abolish private property. These are radical Marxist ideas that have never worked in the history.
They want to abolish private prisons and private property. Whew, that caught my attention. Now, this is a president that originally I thought had a lot of promise for someone like myself who believes in the free market. But she's saying these communists want to abolish communists, aka socialists, and Trump and the MAGA, hardcore MAGA people use those phrases interchangeably. And that's basically anybody that disagrees with them, you're a commie. It's not true. Communism is something other than just socialism. And I'm not a great big socialist either, but there is a difference. And I get very concerned when I hear language like this coming from the White House and from the servants serving the president, using this kind of language, because they're also using words like domestic terrorist, and they're, describing the entire Democrat Party, which is their opposition, as a bunch of commies now. And I'm worried that this might lead to something really more dramatic, where they're just throwing political opponents in jail. I think it's kind of happening to some degree right now. But then she's talking about they want to abolish private property. I don't think so. And abolish private prisons? Why are you so focused on that? I'll tell you why. Because I started digging into this. When she said that, I started doing my research overnight. I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm looking at the numbers and the contracts and who's getting paid off and who's getting big bucks. This whole immigration thing, It's big business bringing them in, and it's also big business kicking them out. Huge business kicking them out. Billions of dollars involved in these deportation programs. And the United States, she's talking about private prisons, and she goes on about how, like as though this is the norm for the United States. Actually, no. Private prisons make up only about 8% of the total prison population. About 8% of the people are held in privately run prisons in the United States. And most of the prisons are run at the state level. But ICE, deportations, that stuff, that's federal, and that's all being done privately. And the companies getting the contracts to run these prisons are making big bank. Deportations is a big business. Hugely. Huge. Now you see what the incentive is? It's a machine. It's a money-making machine. You think they're solving a problem, right? Haven't heard too much about it, especially since all the hullabaloo and the horrific shootings on the streets of Minnesota, Minneapolis. Follow the money, baby. Got to look more at that. They want to abolish the private prisons. Why are you even bringing that up, Caroline? What's that got to do with them being commies? You ever look into, do you know your history? World War II, Nazi Germany, Adolf Eichmann, arrested after the war, put on trial, post-Nuremberg, paper pusher, scheduler, the guy who scheduled putting all the Jewish people and the prisoners and the people being sent to the concentration camps, he sent them off to these places. Well, you look into that stuff, and well, the camps themselves were administered, like run by the government, like day-to-day running of it. There were big companies that were making big bank involved in setting up those concentration camps, in running them, in the slave labor, because the people taken to those concentration camps were used as slave labor for German industry and to help manufacture things during the war, including munitions, by some of the biggest corporations in Germany at the time, whether it was Krupp or Volkswagen, Messerschmitt. It goes on and on and on, and they're all making huge money. Deportations. Big money. Private prisons. I don't know. I'm a big private enterprise, free market guy. But what that is, that's not the free market. That's not a free market. Don't confuse private ownership with free enterprise. Don't confuse straight up capitalism with free enterprise or freedom in any way. Those things should be intertwined in the proper way to get you to a result of freedom. And so the market functions properly. But what this is, this administration, Trump, I've been telling you for a long time, this is not a free market guy. Anybody devoted to the use of tariffs to this degree is not about free market. Now, some things I personally believe probably shouldn't be left simply to the free market, because it's in the public interest to have them administered and even regulated, controlled by the state in order to serve the people. I can get into that another night and on so many levels, but prisons would be one of those things, because I don't think you want to incentivize a company to run a prison efficiently, because then putting people in prison becomes the business model. And then ethics kind of go right out the window, don't they? Especially when you have it run at a corporate level that doesn't have a soul. Anyway, there's that. And it's just this ongoing, consistent use of this phrase, communist, communist, communist. You're a commie. I've been called a commie. I'm far from a communist. Here's a guy from the Magosphere calling for a communist control act. Social media stuff, man. I'm just telling you, it's an info war. It is, well, maybe it's not there. Here we go. Nope, doesn't exist. It might have been taken down. That's an Eric Daughtry thing calling for a communist control act. I've got the link, but it's not working. The post must have been removed. Okay, so let's move on. Marco Rubio talking about Cuba, Venezuela, communism. And this is a mind game too. Listen to this. I'm going to comment and we'll go to Ian Dragon shortly. Here we go. This is about Venezuela, Cuba, blah, blah, blah.
On Cuba, oil blockade on Cuba. There's no oil blockade on Cuba per se. Here's what's happening with Cuba, okay? Cuba used to get free oil from Venezuela. Used to give them a bunch of free oil. They would take like 60% of that oil and resell it for cash. It wouldn't even go to benefit the people. So the only blockade that's happened is the Cubans have decided, the Venezuelans have decided we're not giving you free oil anymore. And you can only imagine nowadays, the way oil prices are, no one's giving away free oil, much less to a failed regime. So the problem with Cuba is worse, okay? Their economic model doesn't work. And the people who are in charge can't fix it. And the reason that I can't fix it is not just because they're communists, that's bad enough, but they're incompetent communists. On Cuba, oil blockade on Cuba.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Venezuela is deciding that they're not going to send oil to Cuba anymore. What happened in Venezuela? Oh, yeah. Trump went in and kidnapped Maduro. Maduro's gone. I think it was a huge disappointment, frankly, to Rubio, but he's still hanging in there because he wants his job and he wants to kick at the can when when the opportunity comes to run for president. So he's sticking around. But I think he was probably pretty disappointed when there was no actual regime change in Venezuela, which is what he was hoping for. You got Maduro out, but it's still the same regime. It's just that now they've knuckled under, they've bent the knee, and they've allowed the U.S. oil companies to come in, which is something Trump has talked about ad nauseum after this all happened. It was, and not much has changed in Cuba and in Venezuela, except that now the U.S. oil companies are being brought back in. Trump says that they're going to be selling the oil, controlling all the oil. So they're controlling the oil. So when Rubio is saying that Venezuela has decided they're not sending any oil anymore to Cuba, no, that's the United States. That's their policy. That's what they want. And they're pretty much dictating what's going on clearly in Venezuela right now. So you can't just wash your hands of that, but he is through this mind game. He's washing your mind of this, absolving the United States of any responsibility, even though they still have a blockade in place. Not just blockading or preventing oil from getting, or energy of any kind from getting into the country, but right now, Cuba is still in this grip of this deepening energy and economic crisis. It's driven by these intensified U.S. sanctions. It is an effective fuel blockade, and it's been in place since late January. You got these tariffs on nations supplying any, nobody's allowed to send any oil to the island. You got ongoing blackouts over there. Yes, people are getting upset. They are protesting. They're beating pots and pans. You got nationwide blackouts. Disrupted water supplies. Hospitals are in a state of chaos. You've got food distribution problems. It's a humanitarian crisis. Rubio in another clip on there talking about Iran in the last, I think 20, well, just, I don't know if it was yesterday, but he's going on about how the world should, all the allies, NATO, all the other countries of the world should be able to get behind the whole idea of preventing Iran from firing on ships, blockading the Strait of Hormuz. He's listing all of these grievances that he has and the Trump administration with Iran. But as you go down the checklist, it's like every one of the things that they're accusing Iran of doing, Trump is doing off the coast of Cuba right now. Rubio talks about, how there's a humanitarian crisis that we have to solve in Iran, and how we have to help the people, liberate the people of Iran. Well, right now you've got this ongoing severe humanitarian, crisis in Cuba. You've got reduced food production. You've got shortages of medicine. You've got a rising infant mortality rate. You have disrupted healthcare services. This all coming from UN reports. Tourism, which is one of their main industries, has been cut by it's almost non-existent. So they're not being allowed to even make a living. It's not just that the economy there, it's not that it's failing or that it's a failed completely system. That is something that should be left for the free market. Okay. The world free market. If they're not competitive, then they won't survive. And if somebody wants to give them free oil, as he suggests, then you should just let them. What do you have to say about it? Well, you got everything to say about it now, because you've basically initiated it. You've effectively perpetrated a coup inside Venezuela. You've taken over the country, or pseudo control. You've got a puppet regime in there now. And so you've got these diplomatic talks still going on between Cuba and the U.S., but they're not letting up the pressure. It doesn't matter what Cuba is doing. And Rubio wants regime change there too. And I guess they probably want to go back to the way it was, pre-Cuban Revolution, like in the 50s, when you had the mob in there and organized crime running casinos and, living off the fat of the tourism industry in Cuba and controlling all of that and putting it under American control again. And that's really what it was. It was a playground for Americans and other people from around the world, but it was also a money-making machine there was a lot of organized crime in there. That is the truth. And the United Nations has condemned what the United States is doing off the coast of Cuba, saying that these restrictions on fuel measures that it's unlawful, and it's a form of energy starvation, and it's actually a violation of international law. But we've heard Trump say that he doesn't need international law. He doesn't care. Doesn't apply. You want to talk about globalism? Start giving your head a shake and start asking yourself, what's globalism really all about? The UN gets the blame. All the United Nations, that's plural. That's a bunch of nations respecting each other's sovereignty. And while I can understand the argument of nation states having to give up part of their sovereignty in order to adhere to or subscribe to or participate in international programs where there are certain standards and even international laws that everybody has to agree to and abide by. But that doesn't mean that countries have to give up their individual sovereignty. Quite the opposite. So these arguments that, I've largely entertained over the years, but with Trump in power, I'm seeing how that's playing out. And the reality is the United States just wants to, under him, he just wants to walk away from all that and just ignore any kind of international norms and not respect the borders of other countries, saying he can just pretty much do whatever he wants. And he's not just saying it, he's doing it. And there's a double standard. You want to talk about a two-tier justice system in your country? How about on the international stage? I believe in the United States. I do. And there's like two Americas down there, like on every level. The United States is a dysfunctional, bipolar, multipolar society. Doesn't run smoothly. It's not even really a true democracy, but it is. I mean, it's a democracy, but it's not as free or as democratic as Canada. Although people will tell you otherwise, especially the brainwashed who want to destroy the place. My country, as flawed as it is, it's much more democratic, and I've talked about it over and over again, and the people telling you otherwise, reptiles. Just saying. Because in this world, this age of rage, Trump's age of rage, everything is upside down and inside out. Can't tell what's real anymore. You really can't. It's dangerous. Let's go to the phones. We'll go to pick up Ian on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, we've got Ian waiting in the wings. I need another moment to get everything sorted out here technically. And if you would like to call in, we'll open the phone lines to the public, to you, to the rest of the Maverick family, and anyone else from around the world that might like to call in and participate in the conversation tonight. But I need a moment. I'll be right back after this.
They both look clean, but the guest list redacted, if you know what I mean. No files exist, just a little twist, nothing to see here. Move along, folks, the truth's in the vault with the dirty jokes. No names released, justice deceased to protect the victims. And Donald Trump, shh, don't say the name, you'll get dumped. They dance with the girls too young to vote, a private jet and a suicide note. One's in a grave, the other still tweets. The truth took a dive 6,000 feet. The cameras broke, that's not a joke. The guards were napping, the logs were gone, and everyone smiled like nothing's wrong. Nobody talks, just shadow walks. National security took the stage while justice quietly disengaged. We can't release the names to protect the victims. And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another news spin. No one will win except the rich guys with gold ID cards and closets full of secrets behind steel bars. Just a little glitch. A billionaire's privilege. That's the sound of the case. Closed.
All right, let's bring Ian, aka Dragon from Montreal, in. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing great.
Well, thanks for coming back. So we spoke earlier today. We talked about what you've been doing, which is going through this manifesto from the Montreal Shooter at the business, or the, I guess, commercial complex, which was also home to the head office for Pornhub. And this is kind of a second look at this manifesto because it's 104 pages long. Of course, you have access to that, and you've been reading the whole thing. And this kind of ties into social media, fake news, mind manipulation, and the way, and we're going to be talking not just about what's in the manifesto, but the way media has been covering this story and the manifesto itself. So with that little bit of a prelude out of the way, what have you found inside this 104-page monstrosity of a, whatever it is, manifesto?
Well, a lot of resentment, a lot of conflictual fact or conflictual ideology that doesn't really apply together, but he tries to make sense of it. And in his world, that made sense of something. And this is basically the world that we're living in, and that's why he did what he did. And what I'm trying to portray here is the way that social media basically gave him that opening, if you will, or that sense of entitlement in doing what he did. So let's go through that.
So I guess part of the reason we're going through it is because various media outlets have been reporting on this in different ways. You have some mainstream outlets that are saying this guy was an incel or an involuntary celibate with grievances largely against women, misogynistic. You have other people saying that he was a right-wing lunatic. You have the people at Revel News saying that he was an anti-Semitic, crazed communist or Marxist, right? And that was his motivation. And then some other people saying that it's more of a mix of political ideologies, and he seems to be was a very mixed up person. And so give us your, overview, your take on what this guy was about. What was his name again?
The name was Seth Scott Hatfield.
Right.
And the guy was basically, I will say it, he had a lot of misogynistic grievance toward capitalism. And actually, I wouldn't say that he was Marxist, probably against it to a certain degree, because he does actually a few quotes and bring that surrounding what he thinks. But I don't think it's Marxism to a certain degree. It's probably a new branch or something along those lines, but it's not quite Marxism. So there's a lot of conflictual in what he does. And I don't think that he's really having like one particular denomination of politics in a certain degree. But yeah, too late to ask him because now he's not with us anymore. So
yeah, well, he was killed at the scene, and then we had police officer shot, a civilian killed as well, right? So
yeah,
the investigation's still ongoing, and a lot of questions surrounding this manifesto. I think it was particularly unusual because of the length of it. Normally, when you have a shooter, a mass shooter, who commits an act like this and they leave behind a manifesto, in my recollection, I can't think of anybody who's left one this long. I could be wrong. Maybe there have been some, but normally they seem to be much shorter, maybe a few pages to 10 or maybe 20 or 4 or half a dozen. Like they're generally not that long. 104 pages. That's like a small book.
Yeah. With actually, there's like 6 different chapter of it. So, I mean, it's a book, basically.
And as you read it, there have been some people speculating, wondering, thinking, even suggesting that it was written with AI and maybe primarily by AI, that this might not truly be reflective of this guy's thoughts or his mental capacity. It might just be a product largely of AI. As you've read it, did you get the sense? Did it seem like it had AI's fingerprints on this?
Probably to a certain degree, but not quite, because certain passage are very resentful, very angry. Like if I would ask an AI personally to write something similar to that, like writing about my frustration about something, it would probably tell me at some point, should we go to something more soft, because now you're getting into a more radicalized kind of thing, or I cannot write something about that because it's too it's too violent or something along those lines. Or so yeah, I wouldn't think that certain part comes from him. Probably certain political ones probably makes more sense if you read it with the idea that he probably used an AI. But the resentment toward misogyny and all those kind of things probably comes more from him than other things.
So like Rebel News saying that this guy was an anti-Semitic Marxist. That's the big push from them, right? But they're pro-Israel, pro-Jewish. I think their bias leans that way. So as you've read this, how many times or how much reference is made to this area of anti-Semitism? Is that an overriding theme through this thing or not?
Actually, it's Zionism appeared twice. In first time in page 8, if my memory is correct, and the other one on page 89. And it's only like a small portion, I would say like 0.5 of the whole thing, where he speak about Zionism, and he's using it actually he's using the wrong term, because for people, Zionism, it's 2 things. Some would think that the right term is about Israel, who needs or wants to have their liberty in their own Israel world, right? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. But the other people will say that it's all about banking, and it's all about the Rothschild or the WEF and whatnot. So all the banking and all the thing, like the same way that a Nazi would actually use. So he has a little bit of that in his rhetoric as I think about it now, because we're making more sense of that. Yeah, thanks for putting that out, though, or making me go in that direction, because there's a little bit of that if you look into it and have a step back, I think. Now that I have it.
Okay, and any other observations after having gone through this thing? Your feelings, thoughts?
So I did try to basically made a psychological assumption of the guy basically through the whole thing. And from what I get, he was pretty isolated, thought that basically capitalism is a project of the lesser monogamic or old school kind of sexual tendency that we have today, kind of thing, and the hypersexualization of the world, which you would call hypergamy. So basically, he was using at some point the Patrick Bateman from Psycho picture, from the one from Christian Bale in American Psycho, to give you an idea of how this guy was probably not right in his mind.
So he was making reference to he was making reference to the film American Psycho and the portrayal of the character by Christian Bale in that.
That's it.
In this manifesto, also talking about hypergamy, which is about dating up, and how men today, I guess, in his view.
Well, women too, actually.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of what he says is that, for example, women that wouldn't have a partner today or being in a relationship with someone would probably do that because they can have the liberty to, well, have sex with anybody they want when they want it, and basically being hypersexuated in a certain way. So,
yeah. And that all plays into what's going on in social media and the manosphere and the looks maxing and all this hyper masculinity.
He talks about that too,
which is part of the whole MAGA thing. Yeah.
He speaks about the favorite male, and favorite male is basically the beautiful, genetic, good-looking male. So what do you have in there? You have, like you said, the overmaxers, which they will kind of, well, bypass their genetic by using, ways to enhance their profile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, some media outlets, this media outlet here, saying that it's their view that he's not left or right. The shooter was a guy who had his thoughts, his ideology, if you will, whatever, rooted in misogyny, as you're saying, after having gone through the whole manifesto.
Well, most of the guys actually that he would quote in social politics or political stuff, it's basically people surrounding Dugin. He didn't actually made any quotes about Duginism, but he does reference it by when you speak about the decadence of the Western society as women are being more permissive sexually today. So you have that kind of avenue there.
The self-destructive, referring to this, what he would say would be the self-destructive nature of Western liberalism.
Yeah, that's true. And some people that he did,
or so they suggest, right, that it's inevitable. But I'm sorry, I digress, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did. So
no, it's
I apologize. Go ahead.
I got a few names actually, if that can help you, because there's a few names of philosopher and whatnot that he did actually quote in footnotes in every page. I don't know all of them because I know my philosophy, but there's some probably economic and political philosophy that I'm not aware of in there. But there's Nikolai Burkharyan and Yevgeny Prebravsky. I don't know if you know them, but it's probably about the Free Republic writing. Basically, he's talking about how permissive, like I said, the society is becoming, and because of the capitalism, women are becoming more, I would say, idealistically, they won't need men basically to persevere in life or be successful, and basically use their success to, have more sexual debate and whatnot. There's a lot of Karl Marx. Sorry.
Marx.
Varnick, Varnick on the suicides in the world. Basically, it's the suicidal world of the Western society. And this guy actually is also Russian. So there's a lot of Russian names in there. I'm going to try to get another one. He's speaking about the vulgar, how vulgar the world has become, basically through the, hold on, I got it here. Trying to remember. Yeah, that's from Varnick. Varnick spoke about that. Friedrich Angel also. Eisel Hans. That's another guy that speak a lot about men.
Frederick Engels, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
Eisel Hans also speak about men's and how men's or alpha male kind of interact in the world, those kind of thing. There's some. There's a quote from Mao Zedong on the dialect of materialism. Oscar Wilde and Mads Larsen, sorry. Felix Dzerzhinsky, that's another one, on the preference of trends.
Well, in the interest of brevity here, it just seems like there's a lot of name dropping going on in this manifesto, which is probably why this media outlet here reporting on this as a salad bar of grievances from the shooter. And I think that what you're describing reinforces that this guy wasn't just an anti-Semitic Marxist communist. He wasn't just a misogynist. He wasn't just an incel. He was a lot of things. He was the guy,
probably Bolshevik.
It looks like there isn't much he didn't touch on in his manifesto. And so, but the overriding thing is that I guess that the main overriding thing is he was very anti-porn, anti-woman,
yep.
he was very misogynistic, and
and he does also speak about against the LGBTQ phenomenon and things. Yeah. So there's so he, like you say, he's conflicting a lot of grievance all at the same time.
Just your opinion, or maybe your observation or your personal experience. All of those issues, when you're speaking to people in our circle, or when you're speaking to people and you're out, like when you go to a political rally or a protest or whatever, or when you're online, what group of people would you say this guy would fit in most with? Would it be people within MAGA, or the communist groups, or the socialists, or the liberals, the conservatives, or does he fit in anywhere after reading this whole thing?
It's kind of hard, because by speaking against the communism and basically against the American hegemony, if you will, and the way that they use pornography to basically be an economic boomer, if you will, I wouldn't say that he's fitting with the MAGA. He's not fitting, probably conservative to a certain degree, but yeah, old school conservative, like Christian conservative, maybe. It's hard to tell, my friend, on this part.
Interesting. Well, we'll open the phones if somebody wants to call in and participate in this at all. It's again, kind of a touchy subject: racism, misogyny, all of these sort of darker issues in play here now. But I meant to put the phone number up, not the donation thing. But if you do want to donate, that'd be great. We could actually pay a bill or two. That'd be a novel idea. But if you want to call in, assuming we can pay the bill for the phone system, 1-647-734-4220, 1-647-734-4220, PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the number sign or hashtag, and I'll leave that phone number running on the ticker down on the bottom of the screen. And Ian, we'll take a little break here. And in case somebody does, or some people maybe, I don't know, if they want to call in. And in order to kind of kick that off, if that happens, don't know who's out there listening tonight, but this is the number if you want it. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. All right, we're back. Any other thoughts there, Ian?
Well, if I may, I will go on a psychological diagnosis of the guy, because this guy clearly was insane. If you read the guy between the line, if you read what he's been saying for the 104 page that he's been going on, I'd say that he was a lot narcissistic, probably having some paranoid and delirium of persecution. Basically, he was feeling persecuted by the society of non being successful, basically, or having relationship and those kind of thing, which goes into sentiment of injustice, probably delusion of grandeur, but that's another layer. And you got a syndrome of Messiah because of his martyrdom, actually, against society, which goes to the idea that in martyrdom, he went on the street of Montreal to kill some people and then get killed by people. And on this, basically on this manifesto, saying to people, look, it's probably too late for me to get better, but here's how I'm going to call people. Because at some point he does call people, women, basically saying some stuff like, this is what you made me do, kind of thing. So that's where I get that sort of, how can I put that? He doesn't take his due where he should, basically.
So you're saying he's portraying himself as a victim of society.
Yeah. Very accurate.
Kind of like
and also
Clockwork
and
Orange.
Also, all the problem that he has, basically, he doesn't take his problem on himself when he has some. So
it doesn't take personal responsibility.
Neither. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's an ongoing problem, a growing problem, I think, within the political ecosystem, and certainly the ideology that's out there right now is there's a lot of finger pointing and giving permission to people to blame others for our problems, pushing personal responsibility to the side, or just even disregarding it, making everybody feel like they've been done wrong by, that everybody's a victim now, right? And that if we just get rid of this guy or get rid of that guy or blame it on this person or that person, or it's I think it's actually, again, dangerous. And I think you've touched on something key right there. Personally, I think that's that's the observation I take from it. I'm not surprised that that's the case.
No, I'm not surprised neither. Actually, I was warning people for a while now that what you see online and what's going on with that polarization of lies and whatnot, that creates that cognitive dissonance will create that kind of situation. And I was saying that months and months ago. And what's going on now? I mean, what did we have last week? Well, I was kind of warning people about that sort of thing. So I'm not surprised in a way.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the other subject matter that we touched on here tonight? I covered a lot of ground, and I know you were watching last night with this Sophie Cunningham stuff, and you saw me get pretty upset after watching that rant. That I hate it when I do that stuff. Actually, I just can't accept that. But I'm interested in your thoughts, and then I'm going to ask you about something I noticed you posted in the chat last night. But go ahead and tell me what you think about all of that.
Well, that does tells us that we are human, and I mean, human can do mistake, right? That's what my dad used to tell me. And yeah, no, that's integrity, my friend. You're amend yourself when need to, and on that, chapeau, as we say in French, it means I steer you my hat, my friend, because it's hard sometimes to tell people when you're wrong, and I know how it's hard sometimes to tell to people when you are wrong, and
hang on,
for everyone it is.
I need to take a call, so let me find out what this is about, and we'll come back. And I don't know if it's related to what we're doing or not, but it might be. So let me do this and we'll come back, and we'll resume after this.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I hear from my headphones.
Okay. Yeah, he might be able to hear you live. It'll be a delay, though. Anyway, joining us live now, direct from Oklahoma, Lori. Hello. Welcome back.
Hey, good to talk to you. You know, I just had a quick question for Ian. Ian, can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
I can hear you.
Great. So my question, while we're on the subject of this Montreal shooter and his manifesto, I see that, you know, once you really dig into the manifesto itself, there are veiled references to Jews when they refer to bankers, and a couple of references to Zionism and euphemisms such as that. But my question is, my understanding is he shot up that Pornhub office. He specifically targeted Pornhub, because he hates pornography, but also it's my understanding that Pornhub is a Jewish-owned company. And I wondered if you found any mention of that, or if you had any knowledge about that.
No, there's no mention about the fact that Pornhub is a Jewish corporation from my first glance, actually, because I did read the whole thing. But I mean, there's probably some part that I've kind of went through and kind of went around it. But no, there's no mention about it. The only mention about Pornhub is about the fact that women nowadays are kind of subject to, well, they will decide if they want to have a relationship or not, if they will have like a more libertarian, say, relationship with others. I mean, for example, being more polygamic or liberal in the sense of the sexualization of things. So yeah, basically that's what it is. And it goes around, over maxers that will actually, it's all about the gene, about the beautiful guy versus the normal looking guy wouldn't be the, you would probably choose like the better looking guy, and those kind of things. So it's all about that, and how decadent the society has become in the West. That's basically what his grievance is in most part.
So I don't know if you could hear that, Lori. In a nutshell,
Nope, I couldn't hear a word.
Okay, so in a nutshell, he's saying no, there doesn't seem to be any specific mention of Pornhub being Jewish owned or any kind of link that way. He just referenced again the mention of misogynistic attitudes, referencing looks maxing and this manosphere phenomenon that's going on right now, and the concept of men sort of needing to marry up and feeling like they don't have a place, I guess. But I understand why you're asking the question that you just asked, and I do see as well this ongoing, I guess, demonization of Jewish people as being perverts, promoting a culture of promiscuity and decadence and perversion, child molestation, all of the regular or the usual anti-Semitic tropes, right down to the adrenochrome conspiracy theories, right? So
yeah, you see a lot of unfortunately, I spend too much time researching in Nazi spaces, I guess I would call it.
Yeah.
And they frequently talk about Pornhub. They talk about the porn industry in particular because there is a disproportionate number of porn film companies that are Jewish owned or Israeli based because it's the film industry, and Jews are disproportionately represented in the film industry. So much of this is in Hollywood. And so the anti-Semites really glom onto that. And for years, they've been spewing their hatred specifically at Pornhub. And you'll find a lot of that if you have the misfortune of being in those spaces. And so I kind of wondered if his manosphere friends were steering him in that direction.
No, actually, she's right.
hang on. Ian is saying that you seem to be right. Can you elaborate on that, Ian?
There's a lot of, in his grief, a lot of what women would do today, glamorification of their sexualization, as some would online or with friends would say, look, I did bang with 5 guys last weekend and whatnot, or those kind of thing, or even goes on OnlyFans just because they feel beautiful, they feel entitled in having money. So it's a easy way, if you will, to go into prostitution-ish, because I mean you're on screen, so it's not prostitution like going on street, but at the same way you're kind of normalizing
okay, but I don't think, Ian, I'm not hearing any kind of connection to the anti-Semitism that is also integrated into these ideas, or even conspiracies, I think, or cliches, if you will, but I think Lori maybe can elaborate a little bit more on that.
I didn't hear what Ian said.
Yeah, well, he was talking. Yeah, throwing it back to you. He was just saying that, just referencing again the decadent nature of the way society, because of pornography, has become, right, and it's proliferating, and social media is amplifying
and
all of this.
glamorized.
And he's saying it's glamorizing porn, and in fact, I think that it actually ties into Mark Carney's book Values, where he questions the idea of through always this theme of values, and he does raise the question: should we? I don't remember exactly what the phrasing was when I read it, but should we commercialize or apply value to sex or sexuality? Should we allow that to be some sort of a business? And it's not that he was endorsing it or saying it should happen, but he's asking that question, which is, of course, akin to, should we legalize prostitution? Should we legalize porn? And it's been with us throughout the history of mankind, humankind. So here we are now.
And I'm a libertarian, so we libertarians have been advocating that for years. But here in the United States, things are taking a very different turn very quickly. You've probably seen there are a couple of online child protection bills, or at least that's how they're being sold to the public, that are swiftly working their way through the House and Senate that would literally require everyone on the internet to use a website, to use an app, to use Twitter, to use Facebook, to present photo ID. They want to verify your age to make sure that you're old enough. And that is sort of related to what's happening in England with their under 16 law, and they're trying to, not let anybody under the age of 16 on the internet. So it's draconian. It's very
we're dealing with that up here too. And 16 seems to be the magic number. Maybe I received just 2 days ago a survey asking that very question, a series of questions about that issue, restrictions or even banning social media accounts being set up by anybody under a certain age, asking what age do you think it should be? It's an issue here in Canada too, playing out.
Well, and I get it. I mean, I think that social media is the most harmful and addictive drug that's ever been created in the entire history of mankind. I'll go that far.
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous for adult minds, right?
Yes.
Like the subject of your show tonight with all the rage bait and the phony AI videos that are duping even seasoned journalists like you and me. We fall for it too sometimes, despite all of our skills on how to spot a fake. Yeah. Even we get faked out sometimes. So it's dangerous for our minds. It's dangerous for adult minds. And I'm so glad I don't have young kids right now and be facing that decision as a parent, whether to let them have a phone, whether to let them have access to social media. But I'm not sure that draconian surveillance legislation such as this is the answer. But I don't really know what the answer is.
I don't have it either. I can only tell you that I'm grateful to you for pointing out that video was fake last night. But man, you know why I got so pissed off? Because I was so disappointed in myself for not catching it. And honestly, when I got off last night, I was like thinking, I should just quit. What good am I doing, right? If I can't serve people with real information, if I'm just going to get duped and spread, amplify the problem, then I'm just part of the problem.
Right. What am I doing here?
Right.
What am I doing here? I get it. I wasn't sure if you saw my comments in the chat room last night because I know you're busy and don't get a chance to look at the chat. I thought maybe after the show, you might be able to look back at the chat and see that I pointed out, I think that Sophie video is fake.
That's why I knew, because I just happened to glance. I don't generally look, but I happened to glance and I saw that you posted that. And then I tapped in and it's like, okay, so it came back as, this is fake. Cause I asked Google Gemini, right? But I just to quickly ask and it came back, it's fake. But I previously checked it and it came back as though it was real. And today
And
Grok.
It was Grok that told you it was real?
Yes. But today I asked again and several times, and it kept coming back with opposite answers. Sometimes it was fake and sometimes it said that it was real, authentic, true.
Oh, I totally believe that. I do.
Yeah.
That's why AI is so unreliable as a fact checker.
Right.
That's my day job. I'm an editor. I fact check stories all day long. And we do not use AI for that very reason, to fact check.
Yeah.
We still do it the old fashioned way because AI is just so wrong a lot of the time. And And so you feed here's how it works. It's like this cycle where the internet feeds disinformation into the AI, and then the AI feeds the disinformation back to the user, saying that it's true. It's this really dangerous information loop that we find ourselves in.
Yep. That's why I also went one step further, and I looked on Google to see if there were other articles, and I did see a couple. The one specific one was from this site called the Shadow League, which to me appeared to be a legitimate sports site, really catering to a black demographic. And they had posted it, quoted it. And I think AI was also picking up on that. And it is sort of a legitimate site, but I think they're kind of sensationalistic and don't have the standards necessary, obviously, because I got caught. So wasn't good enough.
Drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. And this is why it's a problem that newsrooms are filled with Gen Z kids who were raised on social media and use a lot of AI. And it's so much easier to dupe the young than it is the elder journalists who know how to spot fakes.
Well, apparently not,
we get fooled.
because they got me. They got me until you came along and set me straight last night, and helped me stopped it, which was good. But I reached out to the journalist live streamer who wrote the article for the Shadow League, and I haven't heard back. I did send message there. I'm asking them for comment on it and invited them on the program too, but I haven't heard back.
I wonder if that person even exists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of so-called news websites will create a fake byline for an AI-generated story. It could well be that journalist isn't the journalist, it's AI with a phony byline.
Yes.
So I'd be real curious to see if they get back to you, if you get to speak to an actual person.
No phone,
that name?
No phone number available for the media company. At all.
No contact for the journalist.
That's us.
Have you tried maybe cross-referencing that journalist's byline across the web?
I did, and I found an X account, but I wasn't able to send a message on X. So there's, red flags there. I don't know.
Very suspect.
Information universe.
His name is Devin Mason, but don't know. Never heard of the guy before.
No, me neither. So I had one more question for Ian, if he's still on the line. Is he there?
He's there.
Hey, Ian, since you're from Montreal and you know the area, can you describe for me, or do you know from reading the manifesto, why that shooter targeted that particular area? Was it just because of Pornhub? Because it's my understanding that that's a Jewish neighborhood and that there's a Jewish college that was right across the street. Am I correct, or is that right or wrong?
Yeah, no, she's correct. There's a college about 3 buildings away from there.
I don't think it was a coincidence.
But it was right underneath, actually, the building of Pornhub, where the shooting started. So
yeah, Ian is saying that's true, and I don't think there's any denying that. I think that's a very real thing. It was a factor, right, in the shooting. No question that he was anti-Semitic. That's true. It was a Jewish neighborhood. Pornhub was there. I think all of those things came into play. I did, go through much of the manifesto. I haven't read the entire thing, but what I found is that the anti-Semitism wasn't the overriding factor, not the major thing that was driving the narrative or the thought process through this manifesto, but it was a factor, clearly. So
it sounds like this guy had every crazy conspiracy theory in the book.
That's the point.
Very true.
It's everything.
Because even Zionism wasn't used the right way.
Yeah, he checked all the crazy boxes.
Exactly. Yep.
That's what makes people. That's what makes social media so damn dangerous. I'll tell you a quick story before I let you go. I don't know if you've noticed, but I disappeared from X for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
And for someone like me who posts a lot, 3 days is a long time, right? I've got 14,000 followers on X. I use it a lot. Been on X for 10 years. But I got suspended, get this, for inauthentic behavior.
What?
They thought I was a bot. Even though I'm out there in the world with my face and my name, and I'm obviously human. All you have to do is go to my YouTube channel, and I think you can probably vouch that I'm a human.
I can. Yeah.
I'm obviously a human being, but somehow they thought I was a bot. But as it turns out, that same day, this was on last Sunday, like thousands of Twitter accounts got suspended, all in a wave, because we were critical of Vice President Vance and the MOU deal with Iran.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that we all had in common, Rick, was that we had all interacted with the official White House X account, Rapid Response 47, which is run by a close advisor of J.D. Vance.
Uh-huh.
And if you paid attention to that account, they post some stuff on that account that is just so unprofessional. Not stuff that you would ever expect to find in an official White House account. And they were attacking critics of the vice president, critics of the MOU. And I'm told that the reason, Trump has all these handlers around him, and their job, their social media job, is to make sure that the president only sees positive and favorable comments that tell him he's winning, that tell him he's great, that the MOU deal is the best peace deal ever. And so they wanted to make all of those critical comments go away so the president wouldn't see them. And so thousands of us all got suspended in a wave, and we had to fight. We had to organize and fight for 3 days to get our accounts restored. We finally did. But yeah, that was kind of interesting.
I have a question or two maybe for you before you go.
Sure.
I was touching on this seeming. It seems like it's becoming a constant theme, referencing communism, demonizing that. Trump referring to communism as the greatest threat facing America today.
Oh yeah, worse than 9/11, he said. Worse than World War I.
Right. And then you've got.
Okay.
So, you see, I think this rhetoric is extremely dangerous. You're hearing that kind of talk. Plus, they're taking steps to, really make anybody. They have now labeling political opponents as domestic terrorists, categorizing the entire Democrat Party as communist. Jesse Waters on Fox News saying, I just heard it today, I don't know if it's how old it is, but saying that communism has been outlawed in the United States. I think referencing an old U.S. law going back like to the 50s that I don't think is even constitutional and was never fully enforced anyway. That's not really a law, but he's saying it is. This rhetoric, like how long before they start just rounding up political opponents and just throwing them in jail? That's my question.
Well, they built all those ICE concentration camps for somebody. Eventually they're going to run out of aliens to deport. So they're going to come for us next. That's what makes this all so dangerous. And, the law that he's referring to, if it's what I think it is, that was actually struck down by the Supreme Court, I think, in 1957 or 58.
Uh-huh.
And basically, they were, at one time, in the McCarthy era, literally just throwing people in prison for being communists.
Right. That's why I've been referring to this as sort of a neo-McCarthyism. A neo-McCarthyism.
The Supreme Court struck that down.
Yeah.
And they said that, of course, the Communist Party is allowed to exist in a free nation like the United States, just like the Libertarian Party or the Green Party or even the Nazi Party. Mm-hmm. You can have a fringe party in the United States. We have free speech here and freedom of association. But there was a caveat. And the caveat was, as long as you are not advocating the overthrow of the United States government and implementing communism in its place.
Yes,
so
that's exactly right.
There was that caveat in the Supreme Court ruling. I find that dangerous too, Rick. You know, I've got friends who are communists. We disagree on just damn near everything, but they're not bad people.
Right.
They're not trying to overthrow the government.
Yep.
I do think that they should probably operate outside the Democratic Party, as they always have in the DSA or the CPUSA or any number of different political parties. I think their views are just too extreme for the Democratic Party. I don't like seeing that take over the Democratic Party because that is their goal.
Yeah.
They want to overthrow the rulership of the Democratic Party. And I speak as someone who was a libertarian for 30 years. And my party was also overthrown by radical extremists. You probably remember this. I was on Maverick News at the time. It had been early 2023 when the Mises Caucus did a hostile takeover of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
And essentially made it MAGA adjacent. So now we've got all the Nick Fuentes, America First types in the Libertarian Party. And as James Carville said the other day, there are just some people I don't want to share a tent with, and I can't be in a tent with those people. So I left. And I'm afraid the same thing is happening right now to the Democrats.
Yep.
You know, people like moderate Democrats, reasonable people. I still believe that, yes, the fringes are growing and they're getting larger on the left and the right. But I still believe the majority of Americans, the silent majority, are in the middle. And we're all becoming politically homeless. That's why you see this really meteoric rise of independent voters. The majority are now independents and consider themselves politically homeless. They can't really belong to either party because the two parties have become so radicalized and extremist. I mean, where are the liberal Republicans going? They don't have any place to go. MAGA's not for them. America First isn't for them. Where do the mainstream moderate Democrats go as the Democrat Party keeps changing and not in a good way? Same with libertarians. There really isn't any party for us anymore.
And do you think that you know, the far swing of the pendulum is on display? Does it concern you to see this symbolism, whatever it is? And I guess it's open to interpretation, but I'm interested in your thoughts on this golden eagle that Trump posted on social media, saying it's a gift to America with 11 stars, and some people saying it seems to echo a Nazi eagle. And I'm seeing other Roman symbolism coming to bear, you know, statues, and you see the resurrection of, you know, the Confederate statues, and, you know, those kinds of concepts, ideas, and symbols as Trump sort of puts his stamp on Washington. Are you seeing that? Do you think that's actually, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. You know, Trump, I will say, he's always had this kind of fetish, this fascination with the eagle, the American eagle, the bald eagle. He loves it. He's been infatuated with it for a long time. Do you remember that video from, I think it was 10 or 12 years ago now? He was doing a photo op in his office at Trump Tower, and they brought in a bald eagle.
Yep.
To do the photo op with. You've seen the video, of course.
Yep.
Where the eagle was sitting on the desk next to him, and the bird attacked him. Yeah, my first thought
I remember that.
The eagle symbolism, and Trump likes to use that a lot. This new one, this gold eagle, just kind of, you know, it screamed Nazi symbolism to me. And yes, you can say that it's Roman, but that's where the Nazis got their inspiration from.
That's right. Yes.
You know, the fasci is ancient Rome.
Yeah.
And that we have fasci hanging in our House of Congress here in the United States that have been there forever. So yes, it all kind of could be traced back to Roman symbolism, but that's where the Nazis got it. And it does seem to be a wink and a nod and a dog whistle. That's what I got out of it.
One last question before you go. You ever see the movie,
Yeah.
the Bob Guccione movie Caligula? You ever see that?
Oh, Oh, yes. A long time ago.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, great, depending on your perspective, right? Yeah, I've been thinking of, because I've been having a bit of a conversation with somebody else about that. And I think it ties in to a lot of what's going on right now and even the conversation tonight because of, well, for a lot of reasons. I think I'm going to review that movie because of all the Roman symbolism, where Trump is going, the moral issues, the existential questions that the movie raises, and yeah, so I don't know if you're interested in participating in that on any level. I'd welcome your input greatly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Caligula is a great choice. You know, every time I look at this arch that he wants to build in D.C., all I can see is the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. It just looks like a Brandenburg Gate to me, and I'm not loving that. But speaking of old movies that I haven't revisited in a while, and you probably remember this since you're old like me, back in the 70s, I think it was 1977, there was a big TV miniseries event called Eleanor and Franklin about the Roosevelt. You remember that? And,
no, I don't.
Jane Alexander played Eleanor Roosevelt. It might not have been as big in Canada, but it was big here in the States. And I always loved that movie, and I went back and I watched it because, you know, I'm kind of an FDR historian, and I love that movie because it's actually based on the diaries of Eleanor Roosevelt. It's basically the whole story of their lives through her eyes, through her diaries. And it's very historically accurate, unlike a lot of Hollywood films. But something really hit me watching that, looking at 1932, the year he won the White House in the midst of the Great Depression. And, you know, people often demonized Roosevelt, especially during the McCarthy era, during the witch hunts, when they were going after the communists, and they were prosecuting members of FDR's administration, saying that they were outright communists. And yeah, some of them were. A lot of them weren't. But they often demonized FDR wrongly as a communist. What they don't understand about FDR, and I wish people would look at this today and understand it, especially President Trump. Trump has a golden opportunity here to do what FDR did. In hard economic times, when the people are getting angry, when the natives are getting restless, of course they're going to gravitate towards socialism. Of course they're going to gravitate towards communism. How are these socialists and communists getting elected? They're promising cheaper rent, affordable groceries, bringing down the cost of living, better jobs, healthcare, opportunities. Those are the things voters want. That's what got Trump elected.
Right.
Unfortunately, he hasn't kept any of those promises. And in fact, he refused to sign the housing bill this week, which is a good step in the right direction. He could have just signed that and taken credit for it and said, I did that, even though he didn't. It was a Democrat bill. But he just instead called it a yawn. He said it was nothing. He says he loves high gas prices. I mean, this is hurting people. So, of course, that's going to drive more and more people to those fringes. Next thing you know, you really do have a communist revolution on your hands. That's what FDR was facing when he came to office in 1932. There were communist uprisings and riots and labor strikes all across the country during his first term and into his second term. And what he was trying to do was find a balance somewhere in the middle where you've got a spoonful of socialism, a little social security, a little unemployment insurance, some of those good things that you can find in socialism and put them to use in a democratic society. But at the same time, what he was doing was saving capitalism. That's what people don't understand. He preserved the capitalist system by giving you a little spoonful of socialism, just enough to keep the communists from rioting and taking over the country.
Yeah.
When people start going to the streets, when they go to the ballot box and start electing communists, it's time for you to listen to what they're saying and meet some of those demands. You don't have to capitulate to all of them, but you can find something in there that works for you politically. And Donald Trump has a golden opportunity here to do something about health care. He's been saying for 10 years he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Well, he basically destroyed Obamacare but he hasn't replaced it with anything. He said he was going to make housing more affordable. What's he done? Nothing. He said he was going to bring down the cost of energy. What's it done? Doubled, tripled since the war started in some places. I mean, he's doing exactly the opposite of what got him elected, and it's just a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. That's why they're going to get shellacked in the midterms and probably in 2028, although I hate to make predictions that far ahead. But, you know, he needs to save capitalism, and not just for him and his rich friends. It has to be a system that works for everyone. And if that means taxing his rich buddies a little bit more, well, that's probably what needs to happen. Remember, folks, you know, during much of the 20th century, in the 1930s, well to the end of the 1980s, the tax rate on millionaires was 90%. Now it's somewhere around 28%, 23 to 28% on the wealthy. But probably not coincidentally, those are the years we also had a thriving middle class. And that's why.
Yeah. But
Anyway,
hey, you know, those Jeff Bezos has to buy fuel for that giant flying dildo to go up into space and stuff. So, you know, he's got.
And the trillionaire Elon needs a few more toys. I mean, he needs another yacht. Won't somebody think of the trillionaire?
Yeah.
The poor trillionaire.
And and I'm so glad you called in. I always appreciate everything you bring here. And maybe what Trump should do is find a way to embrace a little more of the golden opportunity and less of the golden eagle.
Exactly. Well said. Well said, my friend. A little less of that, you know, bling and a little more of the thing.
Yeah.
Let's really get something done. He's got the majority in Congress. That's why the people elected Republicans and handed them both houses of Congress. We really wanted something done, and so many Trump voters feel betrayed on so many issues. I'm one of them. I very much regret voting for Trump. In my defense, all I can say is I voted for what he said, not for what he's actually doing. I'm horrified by much of what he's doing. And really, as a historian, if I tried to project into the future and look back at how historians are going to remember him, especially the second term, it's not looking good. What can he really claim as a victory? About the only thing he can claim is he did seal the southern border. Our southern border is secure now. He stopped that nonstop flow of unchecked immigration, and that is a good thing. I voted for that.
Yeah.
I did not vote for mass deportations. I did not vote for ICE terrorizing people and, you know, shooting American citizens.
Right.
I didn't vote for any of that. I didn't vote for a lot of what he's doing. A lot. Really, most of it is bad. And then he became the only president in United States history to surrender in a war that we didn't even fight and lose. I mean, it's one thing to fight a war and lose, right? We gave him a good fight in Vietnam and we lost. We gave him a good fight for 20 years in Afghanistan and we lost. We gave him a good fight in Iraq and we lost. But this is a surrender before the war has even been fought. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's a huge kick in the nuts to American prestige. And believe me, our enemies all over the world are watching Trump get down on his knees to Iran and thinking all kinds of thoughts. It's not good.
It's the dumbest war ever. And there's dumbest war ever. And there's no B in that. You can drop the B. It's just the dumbest war ever.
It brings a whole new meaning to the phrase weekend warriors, doesn't it? It's like we only fight the war on weekends.
That's right. That's right.
Crazy.
And then profit on the stock market and the oil futures market on Monday. Oh my!
And whoever heard of taking a 4-month break in the middle of a war? What the hell was that? I mean, we had Iran on the back foot back in late March, early April. We were smashing Iran, and then all of a sudden, Trump blows the whistle and says, "Everybody out of the pool."
Yeah,
ceasefire. When does the winner ask for a ceasefire? Why did we stop? Why did we take a 4-month break? And we got our troops stationed all over the region, just cooling their heels, sitting there waiting for orders. And they can't come home, but they're stuck there in the Gulf, and they came there to fight, and they're not allowed to fight. And that's exactly how the Israelis feel, too. Every time Trump pulls on Netanyahu's leash and says, no, you're not allowed to win the war. Not allowed to win the war. And apparently we're not allowed to win the war either. It just seems to me he's kicking the can down the road. He's made a nice, profitable deal for himself with the oil-rich Arab nations. And believe me, that oil money does a lot of talking. They've got a lot more to spend than the Israelis. So for all of you out there who think Jews run the world and that Israel controls the president, that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
No, it's whoever's got the most money.
That's about right. Yeah, that's right. Gangsters. They're all a bunch of gangsters.
And believe me, the
running
Arabs
the
have a
world.
lot
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And there you go. Lori, thank you for calling in.
Well, it's wonderful to talk to you, my friend.
Always. Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Take care, Ian. Bye now.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'll get a final thought from you, Ian, as we wrap up tonight.
Final thought quickly. Well, for you all Canadian and Americans, I hope Lori's still listening because I got a little suggestion for all of you because it's French Canadian. I hope you can find a translation in English. But the movie is called The Decline of the American Empire by Denis Arcand, which also preside the barbarian invasion, which is actually also a tree quote with the Day of Darkness, if I do believe myself. So this is 3 movie that actually is pretty much timely for the time where it was done, because it's old movies. So yeah, The Decline of the American Empires. That's a movie to watch, like we say in Franglish. And what else? Well, guys,
hang on. Dude, are you calling back?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to say something else on live? You're still on live.
Yeah. I totally forgot the other reason that I called you. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah. I was about to sign off,
yeah.
but for you, we'll go all night if you want. So
Yeah, but wait, there's more. I wanted to ask you if you'd heard the news, because you and I talked about this for years on Maverick News. Did you hear the news that Aubrey Cottle, the guy who hacked Give, Send, Go and doxed all those Freedom Convoy donors a couple of years ago, that he was actually sentenced last week to 18 months in prison there in Canada?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that one kind of slipped under the radar. I didn't know if you'd heard or if you'd even covered it.
I'll look.
I'm not able to watch every night.
Wow.
But they finally got him, Rick. They finally got him.
Well, I'll look up the details on that. Ian, what? What'd you say?
You remember him.
Oh, yeah.
Laurie just covered it.
Crazy guy.
Yeah, crazy Aubrey.
Yeah.
The guy with the rainbow hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's an OG hacker, claims to be the original founder of Anonymous.
Right.
Although a lot of people in the hacking community dispute that. I don't really think he was, but he was there in the early days of Anonymous and is kind of a legend in hacking circles, not necessarily in a good way. Aubrey for years bragged that he was working with the feds, doing honeypots and sting operations and busting child porn rings and things of that nature. But yeah, he was charged. He was actually arrested, I think, last October, 2025. He's been sitting in jail for quite a while, just awaiting trial. And he was arrested on a separate case that wasn't related to the Freedom Convoy Give, Send, Go hack. It was he had participated in a hack of the Texas Republican Party and doxed a bunch of donors to the Texas GOP. So that is the actual case that he's been convicted of there in Canada. He was sentenced to 18 months, but it looks like because he's been sitting in jail for a while, they're giving him time served.
Yep.
By my math, it looks like he probably won't spend more than 6 months in prison there, but there are still charges pending on the same case coming from the United States. And we have an extradition request for him. So
you can have him.
It remains to be seen. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there.
I know.
He might do his 6 months, and then we take him off your hands and throw him in a Texas jail for a while, or a good long while. That could be 20 years for him in the United States at least. So I think it's really interesting. His lawyers are arguing now to the court that Aubrey shouldn't be extradited and that the United States should drop our charges because it would be kind of double jeopardy to try the same person twice on the same charge in two different countries, which does kind of make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I don't understand, Rick, and I never have, is why he was never charged, that I know of, in the Freedom Convoy hack of Give, Send, Go. He admits he did it.
Or says he
made videos.
Yeah, or says he did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
maybe they can't prove it.
Yeah, the strange thing about that case is, and so much about politics and all of the stuff surrounding that whole Freedom Convoy is, just because somebody says something, that even that doesn't necessarily make it true. Just because somebody confesses doesn't really mean they did it either. So who the hell knows? I don't know.
Well, and Aubrey, he does have a reputation as a bit of a bullshitter.
Yeah.
He's the guy who says he's anonymous, but he really didn't. So maybe when he made that video, the video where he goes, I did it, I hacked the Freedom Convoy. I don't know. Maybe he was just doing it for attention. I have no way of knowing. Maybe they didn't have enough evidence on him. Maybe they'll crack him while he's sitting in jail. But it seems to me if the United States really did want to pull together a case against him, they should probably drop the one with the Texas GOP and maybe charge him with the Freedom Convoy. If the statute of limitations hasn't expired on that, then what, 3 years? 4 years since that. That was 2022, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with the statute of limitations up here on charging him with anything. But that being said, I think the government probably liked getting access to that information and having that stuff put out there too. So they may not be all that upset enough to hold him accountable for it, to be honest.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing. I thought, well, maybe the Crown felt that he was doing the public a service by exposing that this Freedom Convoy was, in large part, funded by people outside Canada.
Yeah. Mm. Yes,
and
it was.
Wealthy interests outside of Canada.
Yeah, it's true. It was. Yeah.
It is true that all did turn out in the end to be true. I know that there were Canadians who unfortunately also got doxxed in that hack.
Yeah.
One of them is in your chat room tonight. I forget what the username is, but she told me she was also doxxed in that hack, which is unfortunate. Because I think he just dumped it all out there. Canadians and American donors, all of their personal information was compromised and released.
Yep.
And that sucks. And there ought to be some kind of justice for them.
Yeah, some people lost their jobs over that,
yeah, they did.
Which I thought was really grossly unfair too. But that's still the way the politics is even now. It's don't know how we need to get back to something in the middle and reasonable. That's what I think.
We sure do. I still believe, Rick, that the majority of people out there are sane. They're not haters. They don't hate their neighbors. They don't hate their fellow man or woman. But there is an unprecedented level of mental illness going on. And I think a lot of people's brains just got broken during the COVID lockdowns. And all of that coincided with this avalanche misinformation, disinformation on social media. And you remember a couple of years ago when President Biden was trying to do something about it, and he appointed that disinformation czar that lasted like a month because everyone hated the idea. They said it was Orwellian, and I hated it too.
Yep.
But they were trying to do something about it. They didn't do the right thing. They went about it the wrong way. Just like I feel these child safety acts that are going through Congress right now are an overstep and an overreaction. We have to do something, but we just haven't figured out exactly what, because we are such a free society where free speech is sacred. And this can be the downside of all that free speech. I'm not really sure how to cure this problem. And I wish I could say I had the answers. Do you?
Working on it every night.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
It is. And that's what this channel has been about in large part, is an experiment in free speech, as you know. And it hasn't gone well.
Well, I tell you what, man, some days just being on the side of the truth can be pretty demoralizing.
And lonely.
Feels like, and lonely, because the whole mob is against you.
Yep. That's
kind of the nerds in the room.
That is the truth. With that, time to sign off.
Okay. See you later. I won't call back again. Sorry.
Well, you can if you want. I'll be around. Anyway, see you. Bye. Okay, Ian, we kind of got your final thought there. I'll give you max 5 words. Sum it up for us.
Well, you have actually provided us the proof that
that's more than 5 words.
AI hold on. AI is actually the proof of, well, it as the inventor, not as perfect as we are. So yeah, it is as imperfect as human being can be, and social media also. So don't believe all what AI tell you.
There you go. Otherwise, you'll end up living the lie. See you back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the
flip side.
Welcome to the Matrix. Scrolling all night, chasing the high. Everything's fake, psychedelic sky. They said you're free, that's the game. Different screen, always the same. You are what you believe, that's the key. Lock your mind, lose reality. If you believe it, it comes alive. Truth gets buried, nobody survives. The world is watching, brains are washing. Living the lie, glazed over eyes, hypnotized, zombified. Living the lie, no way to hide, truth denied. Switch it off, take back your mind.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.